Okay, Sabrina here, Books at the Wernberg. Hi, I have literally finished Mockingjay. I've just done my thoughts on Catching Fire. So again, I'm going to try and keep the two books separate, but it's really hard sometimes. So Mockingjay is the final book in the original Hunger Games trilogy, because obviously we have now two prequels. So this follows directly, well, almost directly on. I think it's a few months later from the end of Catching Fire, where Katniss finds out that there is no District 12, that the Capitol firebombed it and destroyed it. And the book opens up with Katniss in the ashes. It's part one's literally called The Ashes of District 12. And she goes to see what's left of her home and her people. Most of the people of District 12 did not get out. So she's confronted with the very real fact that the majority of people that she knows in the district are dead, that they have been blown up and burnt alive in the firebombing. And we follow her walking around District 12, just trying to deal with it. She's currently in District 13, which, yes, does exist, yes, has been hiding out all this time. It turns out District 13 said they'd go away quietly if the Capitol left them alone, and they'd leave 13 alone. Which Katniss brings it up a few times, that if there was a District 13, why would they not come and help the other districts? And then when she finds out there's one, it's like, well, you guys have been hiding down here all this time. You could have come and helped us any time. You saw what was happening in the districts and you left us. You made a deal with the Capitol and you left us. I mean, to me, that's already raising alarm bells about District 13. Rather than go out and be kind and compassionate and help the other districts, they stayed hidden. And apparently, you know, they've had an epidemic. It's wiped out a lot of their population. So 12 coming in is wonderful because their numbers are suddenly boosted. The gene pool's got a nice little spread around again. And they can rebuild their population. And it's like, oh my God, 12 are literally breeding. It's like, I mean, that went straight there. But 13 is very a militaristic underground basement. Clearly, it's the only way they've been able to survive. But, you know, they are military beyond belief. So regimented. They get given their schedules every day on their arm. And so for Katniss to adjust to, 1, surviving 2 lots of Hunger Games, 2, finding out that she's been a pawn all this time, 3, that Peter's been captured and she doesn't know if he's dead or alive. And then she finds out that District 12 is gone. And so she's like, I need to go and see it. I need to go and see it. And she finally is allowed to go and see it because obviously they need her as the Mockingjay. They need her for their war. They need her as a symbol. And she won't do anything until she goes to see 12. So she goes to see 12 and she's walking through the ash and that on her own, seeing what's left of her home. And it's not pretty. I think the Mockingjay film does quite a good job at capturing that sort of level of horror that Katniss is feeling. The fact that she keeps coming up with this mantra in her head to keep her going. I use a technique one of the doctors suggested. I start with the simplest things I know to be true and work towards the more complicated. The list begins to run in my head. My name is Katniss Everdeen. I am 17 years old. My home is District 12. I was in the Hunger Games. I escaped. The Capitol hates me. Peter was taken prisoner. He's thought to be dead. Most likely he is dead. It's probably best if he is dead. That's her way of coping. She has this mantra that goes through her head of things that she knows are true. And it's because she's been lied to so much. She doesn't know what she can trust anymore. So it's like, what does she know? And that keeps her together. She's constantly battling. So much at the start of Mockingjay is her trying to deal with the trauma of what she's been through. And it's really lovely. There are lots of moments she has with Finnick in the book, because obviously he's going through his trauma too. He's dealing with the fact that Annie, he doesn't know if she's safe. All he knows is the Capitol has got her and he can't get her out. And he's having to live with that guilt, but he's also living with all the trauma that he's been put through, which we find out his body was sold. Snow sold his body as soon as he was of legal age. And it was 14 when he won the Hunger Games. So as soon as he hit legal age, 16? Are we going with 16 here? His body was sold and anybody could have him in the Capitol. And it's like, you think what he's been through. He has literally been a slave to the Capitol. And he's done it to keep Annie safe because she was threatened. And when you find that out, and it's like, my God, you know, no wonder he puts on this really like over bright, brash, sexy persona, because that's what he's expected to be. And yet he's like, again, like Candice, he's barely holding it together. And it's interesting watching Katniss breaks down. She finally figures out that Peter is being tortured in order to hurt her. And then she's like, I can't do these videos and that you want me to film. I can't do it because every time I say something, Peter's going to get hurt. When she figures out that Peter's being used, she breaks down, and she completely breaks down. They have to drug her, and she goes back to the hospital and that, and she's out for a good time. And Finnick breaks down as well, because obviously seeing her just completely lose it clearly unlocks the gate for him to actually accept that I can't carry on pretending that I'm okay when I'm not. And I love this little bonding moment that they have, that Finnick is making knots. He has a piece of rope and he just makes knots. And he sits there and he does that, and he goes, I do this when I can't cope anymore. And Katniss starts doing it. And interestingly, it's later when they get Peter back and he's been slightly de-hijacked but doesn't quite know what's going on and what's real and what's not. Finnick has taught him to do the knots as well, because Katniss sees Peter doing the knotting. It's this link between Finnick, Katniss to Peter, that they've all been through this awful, awful trauma. Finnick has shared this means of coping, of just dealing. And it really ties those three together. So it kind of annoys me that in the film, they focus more on Gale being around Katniss, where actually Finnick's there. Finnick is with her at some of her most darkest moments. Gale is not a support at all for Katniss. He tells her facts. He wants to be part of the rebellion. He is actively involved. I mean, when Katniss first gets up and about and she realises Gale's like he's got one of those comm unit things which only like the top levels have. And so how did she get one of them? And it's like, okay, what has Gale been doing while Katniss has been trying to just deal with surviving? Gale doesn't support Katniss with compassion the way that Finnick does and Peter. He supports her in, I'm going to give her that push. What do I think she needs? And then obviously we've got the whole thing about, you know, I can't compete with Peter because I'll never be in that level of pain. That line, and it's like, Gale's awful. If you haven't guessed, Gale is awful. So you've got so much going on at the start of this, where Katniss is just trying to survive. She's doing the promos for the rebellion and everything. She's playing the part. They let her go out to a couple of the districts. She can't do it on cue. She has to be in an actual situation. And you've got the awful scene in District 8 where she goes to the hospital that's been set up. And she's going around. She's like, I shouldn't be here. And Gale's like, just go and talk to him. You'll give him hope. And she goes round. And it is like, oh my God, you're alive. You're alive. And you've come to see us. And so she goes around this hospital. She's there for ages, just talking to the people there, trying to just reassure, be comforted and be seen. And then they start going away because it's like, well, you need to go, there's trouble coming. And they start dropping bombs on the building that is a hospital. She goes off cute, you know, she's supposed to be hiding and keeping safe. And she goes to fight. She brings down some of the planes that are bombing this hospital where she's just been speaking to these people, the injured and the dying. And then she does the speech that's in the film. You see that fire is catching. If we burn, you burn with us. And just the way it's written in the book, and I think Jennifer Lawrence actually did a really good job with that line, to see the pain that's on her face. She was just talking to those people. They were in a hospital and it was bombed. And I'm like, fiction shouldn't become reality. And yet, I've seen that. I think what these little tricks out to the districts show Katniss, no one's going to win this. It's always going to be the innocent who are going to be killed. And she can't save everyone. And because she's the Mockingjay, because she's been made into the symbol of the rebellion, she feels personally responsible for every single death. She talks later on about the thousands that she has killed. And it's like, you haven't, Katniss. But then it's like, if it hadn't been her symbol of rebellion, her as the Mockingjay, people would not be fighting. That's how she feels. And so every single death that happens, she feels as though she's done it herself. And again, she's 17. 17-year girl who's been manipulated into this position. She never wanted. She just wanted to get back home. She just wanted to save her sister. And people are fighting in her name, her image. There's a lovely character in here that we meet called Deli, who's an old friend of Katniss's and Peter's from school. and she's used as the like intermediary between Peter and everybody else, because the idea is that the Capitol have only messed with the memories of Katniss. And so it's like, well, have we got someone that Peter's memories won't have been messed around with? And that's Deli. Deli's this really bouncy, bright, ever optimistic individual. She seems to like everybody she meets. She's a genuinely nice person. And I really like Deli. And honestly, I can't remember if she's in the films at all or not. I think I've only seen the first film twice. I've seen the second film like once at the cinema. So I honestly can't remember if she was taken out or not. But she's very much, it's like a little beacon of light in this. I mean, District 13 is a terrible place to be living in. Not only are you underground, but it's all grey. Everything's grey. So I do love her very much, and the way that she's able to like coax out who Peter is, who he really is, and who Katniss really is. And Deli says this line about, oh yeah, we all loved Katniss when we were at school, you know, we thought she was amazing because she could hunt and everything. Katniss goes, oh my god, I thought I had no friends because I kept myself aloof and alone. And actually it turns out, no, I had no friends because everyone was in awe of me. And again, Katniss realising how other people see her compared to how she sees herself. We all do this, don't we? Obviously, the latter part of the book is very much about trying to officially bring down the Capitol, what we're going to do. So it starts off in District 2, the last district to hold out, and they are going to get rid of, like, it's called the Nut. It's like this mountain with all the military manufacturing is inside, and it's like this main base that the rebels can't pierce. And there's two ways in, one through the front door and the train that comes out to the square. And Gale comes up with this idea, again, this is bury him. Do we need the Nut, or can we just take it out? So we'll just take it out, so we'll bury him. He lost his dad in a mining accident. It's the same one that took Katniss's dad. Their fathers were buried alive in a mine. And here's Gale just saying, well, let's do the same. Let's just bury the mountain. And Katniss is like, you can't do that. And you know, if Peter was there, he'd be saying, that's inhumane. You cannot kill these people. And Katniss steps up and she's like, we've got spies in there. And Gail's like, oh, I'd be happy to die for my cause and all that. It's like, yeah, you might be, but who are we to decide for everybody else? She goes, well, what about the people in there who have no choice? There's District 12 people who don't want to be there, but they have to be there. And it's like, well, there's going to be sacrifices. And Katniss is like, I think she really starts to realise just how cold Gale is about this. He sees it as a problem and he goes, right, well, this is what we do. And there's a moment earlier where she comes across Beatty and Gale talking about a trap, and it's a snare, and it's about how we use traps for animals, and we use the basic instincts against them. So if we're trapping a bird, you put a big net over them so they try and fly away, but they're caught up in the net. And then she watches as the conversation turns to human beings and using impulses against people in order to kill them, like compassion, like you set off a bomb, you send in some help, and you set off another bomb. It's like, oh, that's a foreshadowing. But it comes through very much so that Gale, he's the hunter. He's not compassionate about it. It's for him, it's a, well, how do I do this? How do I be the best hunter, the best killer possible? And the fact he starts applying that knowledge he has from surviving the forest to actually killing people is terrifying. And again, the lack of compassion, the lack of kindness. Anyway, so they come to a half agreement where they'll leave the train free. So if people want to get out, they can get out, and they'll get them in the square. And it happens, and it's a mess. But I think Katniss realises finally what she really has to do in order to keep going, and the fact that she's going to kill Snow. She's going to bring down the Capitol and she's going to kill Snow, and that's it. That is the extent of her life at this point. Her sister's safe in 13. They've got Peter back, but it's not her Peter anymore. And she's like, I'm going to be in the Mockingjay and I'm going to kill Snow. And there's that lovely scene where she steps up and she's talking to this enemy from 12 as they come out the train into the square, just talking to him. And it's like, I'm not going to kill you. We're all people here. We are not the enemies. And that is a lovely scene. And then she gets shot by someone else in the crowd and ends up going back to 13, which she never wanted to be. She thought she was out to 13. And we get to the final bit where we're going to storm the Capitol. And it's very clear that at this point, Coin does not want to keep Katniss. And it's like, yeah, you can go. And Katniss goes off, she's going to go on her own mission, she's going to go without the others, and she's going to go and kill Snow. I mean, bless her. I love the fact that it's a case of, I'll get a map, and I'll go off and kill Snow, and it's like, that's as far as she's thought. She really does run on instincts, bless her. When Peter's sent along later to join him, and it's like, Coin wants me dead. I said, why does Coin want me dead? And Boggs is like, well, you know, after this is done, Coin will expect to step up as leader. Are you going to give your allegiance to her? And Katniss is like, well, I don't know. And he goes, if it's not yes straight away, then you're a problem for Coin, because people will follow who you endorse. And it's like, yeah, Coin knows just how much power Katniss has, and Katniss is like, oh my god, well fine, I'll go and kill Snow and that's it, I don't care now. And so we got this whole trek through the capital that's been literally booby-trapped. So it's been set up as a Hunger Games, which obviously Finnick and Katniss get straight away. It's like, oh, welcome to the, 76th Hunger Games. And it's going to take place in the capital. And I really like that actually you see how the people of the capital have lived, but the fact that because of the rebellions, they've been going without, had rationing, they've gone without all their trinkets and trappings and that. So they've actually had to deal with some kind of hardship for the first time in their lives. And so you see these empty streets and apartments that have just been left. And it's really interesting. They stay in one apartment. There's a big telly screen on the wall. I was like, wow. People of the capital have literally no entertainment other than the television. They don't do anything. There's no hobbies. It's all about fashion and Hunger Games. I was like, oh my god, what happened to art and crafts? Because you never hear the capital people singing or anything, really. That happens in 12 and 11. Yeah, really interesting. Automated emergency broadcast. And the telly comes on and it's like, you're still supplying power to the screens in these abandoned areas. You're still giving energy to something that's not needed anymore. And that's just, wow. That's the arrogance of the capital. We're going to make sure everybody sees this. Even though that's an evacuated zone, we're going to make sure everybody sees this. I'm like, whoa. Anyway, so Katniss's team gets picked off bit by various lovely devices that have been concocted up by wonderful minds who have no idea what their things do. We lose Boggs, who I really quite like, and he clearly trusts Katniss because he gives command over to her and he trusts her enough, and it's like clearly he can see what Katniss can't see in her, and he also knows what she's going to do, so he gives her every means possible to achieve that. It's cruel what they have to go through just to survive. I mean, Castor, who takes them down in the tunnels underground because that's where they work for, I think, 5 years, I think his brother says, before they could get him out as an AVOX. That's part of their job. They work down there and they don't come out and see the light of day. They live and work down there. So they use the underground tunnels, and then you've got these genetically engineered mutts that are like a cross between lizards and people who hiss Katniss's name. So they've clearly been like chemically enhanced to track her. And what a really creepy scene is when you can hear the hissing going on and Katniss recognises it's her name. And then she realised Peter's saying it as well. And it's like he's been conditioned to react. I said, that's terrifying. That a person's mind can be brainwashed so completely that they can do that on instinct. Obviously we lose Finnick, which it's so quick in the book. It's so quick in the book. It just, he's there 1 minute, fine, climbing the ladder, and the next he's pulled down into the mutts. And Katniss goes, and it's like I'm Finnick, I see flashes of his life. And she lifts off these little things. She drops down a bomb to blow up all the mutts and make sure he's dead so he doesn't suffer. And then moves on. And it's like, yeah, you don't get time to mourn at all. You can't stop. You can't break down. And they just keep going and going. And it's not till much later that she actually deals with the loss of everybody that she's had supporting her. Obviously, there's the firebombing and Prim's death. Again, it's almost poetic, which is terrible, but it's almost poetic the way Suzanne does it. So they finally get to the mansion where the refugees of the capital are being told you can come here, and in front of the wall is a gathering of children. There literally is a whole group of children in front of the mansion to President Snow's place, and it's got peacekeepers around the outside and keeping him in. And Katniss twigs straight away he's got a human shield. He has a human shield. It's children. He is hiding behind children. If at any point you still think that Snow could be a reasonable guy, that should be the point where you sit there and go, no. It was really worrying to actually see people sympathising for Snow when Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, because it's like, guys, this is the man who used children as his own personal human shield. This is not a nice person. And you are giving sympathy to him? No. And then Katniss watches. She sees a ship with a capital symbol on it, drop parachutes. And of course, the capital's children know what those mean. It means a little gift because they've seen it in the Hunger Games. Just let that settle in. Children watch the Hunger Games. Children in the capital watch children in the districts kill each other to survive. That's how normal it is for the people of the capital. So 20 of the parachutes explode. Some children are killed outright, some are injured. And then Katniss watches as another group comes in. She initially thinks they're peacekeepers. They're not. She realises they're medics. They're rebel medics go and help. And she sees Prim. It's a blonde braid down her back she sees. And then the rest of the bombs go off. And Katniss is thrown back and being hit by fire. And it's like, that's Gale's trap. That was Gale's trap, that she heard him talking to Beetee. Katniss must know, and it becomes obvious later, she kind of works it out, but she must know on some level that Gale is responsible. Either directly or indirectly, he has caused this. And that. And there's a brilliant line. I no longer feel any allegiance to these monsters called human beings, despite being one myself. I think Peter was onto something about us destroying one another and letting some decent species take over. This is what I highlighted. Because something is significantly wrong with a creature that sacrifices its children's lives to settle its differences. You can spin it any way you like. Snow thought the Hunger Games were an efficient means of control. Snow, it's about control. He says, I will kill children, but I am not wasteful. For him, killing all those children, no, that's a waste of life. He used them to keep himself safe, but he would not kill them because it's a waste. Coin thought that the parachutes would expedite the war. Coin knew that if we kill children, people will flood to our side, because obviously that's what's caused the rebellion in the first place. Children being killed, children from the districts being killed. Coin knows if we kill the children in the capital people will turn. This is another bit I've highlighted. But in the end, who does it benefit? No one. The truth is, it benefits no one to live in a world where these things happen. And that's Katniss's thoughts. If we have to resort to killing children in order to settle our differences, in order to keep control, we don't deserve anything. Literally watching Katniss, who's been pieced back together, they've literally pieced her body back together. They heal her. And they can't do anything with her mind. Her mind is completely broken because the one thing she was trying to keep safe, she was keeping Prim out the games, and Prim became part of it anyway and was killed for it. She was murdered for it. Katniss has lost it. She is shut down completely as a person. She just wants to end. And it's like, well, what's left for me? I get to kill Snow. So one thing going for, I get to kill Snow now because he killed Prim. And then she meets Snow in his greenhouse. And it's actually one of the rebels from District 8 who lets her in. And it's like, whatever behind that door, Katniss can take whatever she wants. And she talks to Snow. And Snow tells her, I may kill children, but I am not wasteful. I just like looking at him incompletely. It's like, you bombed your own citizens. You bombed your own kids. And he turns to her and he goes, oh, Katniss Everdeen, I thought we promised never to lie to each other. And that's when Katniss twigs. He's not lying. He didn't do it, which means Coin did. And then we have the whole bit where she's set up to kill Snow and she doesn't. She kills Coin and then she's left. And it's like, well, I don't care now. She gives up. She literally she just wants to die and they won't let her die. Hamish comes along, we're going home. She's like, what? I said, yeah, you go home. You're in exile in 12 now because we don't know what to do with you. And we see in a few pages her dealing with all the grief, all the trauma, everything she's lost, everything she's gone through. And it's the scene where Buttercup comes in the house and Katniss completely loses it. The cat and goes, she's not here, she's dead. And Katniss is sat on the floor screaming at this cat. And she goes, she makes like a sound between a cry and a meow. And Buttercup doesn't leave her. And then when she goes to bed at night, Buttercup sat on Katniss's bed, just like she would sit on Prim's bed to guard her from the night. And it's like, it's the first time that Buttercup has shown Katniss any sign of kindness, because it was all for Prim. And I think Katniss realises that Buttercup will look after her too. And yeah, so Katniss starts bit by bit coming back to life, and she does that mantra, what's real? What am I doing? What am I living for? And Peter comes and he plants primroses, and they start building their relationship together bit by bit. And she realises, she actually says, Gale said to Peter, Katniss will choose whoever she needs to survive. And, you know, when Katniss hears it, she's absolutely horrified that that's what it comes down to. It's like, who I need to survive. And then she realises, actually, I don't need Gale's fire. He's over in District 12. He's out of my sight. I don't care anymore. It's a sense of relief he's not there. And he makes no effort to come and talk to her or see her or anything. He's gone because he knows she can't forgive him. She can't look at him without thinking of Prim. And she realises she doesn't need Gale's fire. She's got enough for herself. What she needs is Peter's sunshine. He is the dandelion in the spring, and she needs that. And they slowly fall in love and trust each other and live. They live. There's a lovely, you know, I know a lot of people feel really sort of conflicted about the epilogue, but I love it. This idea that, like, after so many years, 15 years, she goes 5, 10, 15 years. So every time she thinks she's better ready, she's not. And it gets pushed back and back. And she finally has children because Peter wanted children. So she has children because Peter wants children. And she's like, well, how do I tell them they play on a graveyard? How do I tell them my nightmares will never go away? And I love this little bit. I tell them how I survive it. I'll tell them that on bad mornings it feels impossible to take pleasure in anything because I'm afraid it could be taken away. That's when I make a list in my head of every act of goodness I've ever seen someone do. It's like a game, repetitive, even a little tedious after more than 20 years, but there are much worse games to play. Right at the end, it's every act of goodness that keeps her going. The key thing, I think, is really important. It's about kindness. We can't let these horrific things happen without letting go of kindness and compassion. So that's my final original trilogy. I now have a copy of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which, for those of you that don't know, follows the 10th Hunger Games, follows a very young Snow, whose first name I can't quite remember how to pronounce, so I'm not going to even attempt that at the moment, and Lucy Greybeard from District 12. Apparently, District 12's first winner that no one seems to remember. Apparently, because I can't remember which one it's in, I think it's in Catching Fire, that there's a rumour that we had a winner a long time ago. It was a girl, but no one really remembers. And it's like there wouldn't be many people alive in District 12 who would remember the winner. So there are rumours of this winner from District 12, but no one can quite remember. So I'm going to read that. I've not read it before. I have avoided a lot of spoilers. I mean, obviously I've seen clips and all that, but it's all told from Snow's point of view, so a lot of that I've kind of missed, which is quite good. So I'm going in pretty blind, and we'll see what happens there. As always, the thoughts down below on Mockingjay. Yeah, spoilers, go for it. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and happy reading. Bye.